All right, hey everybody, TG here. Looks like we should be good to go, and we're also on the social medias. We got YouTube, X, Facebook, LinkedIn, all that kind of stuff. And today is the day before the FOMC, which we're actually seeing quite a bit of strength out there. So I'm feeling like the market has settled down and probably is feeling pretty comfortable that there is going to be a rate cut tomorrow. And more specifically, we're seeing the crypto space really light up today, which is good. We're in it. I'm happy about it. And I think it's good news. And so we added a couple positions this morning on something like that. Let's take a quick look. Ah, man, just deleted that. Let me see if I can get that thing back. Fed watch. There we go. Let's get that. Okay. So let's see. How is that thing coming along? Yeah, 89%, basically call it 90% likelihood of a rate cut. So the market's pretty much like, yeah, this is going to happen. Which I think on the other side of it is if Jerome Powell does not come out with a rate cut, the market is probably going to throw an absolute hissy fit. So for the most part, the Fed knows what the market wants, and the market knows what the Fed's going to do, and they try not to surprise each other too much. That's why, if you guys remember, I think it was 2018 when 2018 into 2019, I believe, Jerome Powell did not do a rate cut when the market was expecting one, and the market just completely went down. And then finally, he came out and they talked about a rate cut in like around the beginning of the year, and so the market finally came right back up. So yeah, the market wants to get what it wants, and it will throw a hissy fit until it gets it, which maybe is kind of what we saw also on this last time, because when Jerome Powell came out and said that a December rate cut was not a foregone conclusion, yeah, there were some fits being thrown out there in the market. It could also be partly that the market needed to reprice itself if there was not going to be a rate cut, and so that's why underneath the surface we saw a lot of things just melt down, and that I think it was a combination of things. That was one of the things out there. So, hope you guys are doing well out there. We've got December. It's kind of been, in one way, it's kind of been feeling a little bit like sleepy, ever since Thanksgiving. Now we're kind of in the holiday season. We're expecting some real bullishness out there, but it's kind of been taking a while to get there. In fact, if we look at the internals, you can see that, let me get my drawing tool. You can see that over the last couple days, the internals have not really been supportive of the market, and we could see that there was kind of some weakness in through here over the last couple days, and same thing here. Advanced decline was coming down, and then today, starting to see that turn around. So maybe we kind of burned off some of that overbought condition. I had the simpler trading free video and premium video, so maybe you guys saw that. I actually just rewatched it this morning because I know it sounds silly to watch your own videos, but actually that is one of the ways that I really taught myself is, and I tell this to you guys all the time when people ask like, well, how do I get better at trading? And I say, make your own videos. Go either create your own YouTube channel or make your own videos. You can keep it private if you want. But what I learned is if I made my own videos, like what I'm doing right now and what I do over the weekends, and then I'd let it rest for a day, and then I'd go back and actually watch my own video and watch what I do, because it was kind of interesting. As much as I talk through these things, talking about it, there's some neurons that are connected there, but when you go back and you actually watch what you were talking about, it helps sink it in even more. So I know it was a little, not embarrassing, but it's kind of like talking to your dog or something. Maybe it's a little bit uncomfortable to kind of get started, but once you do it, it's much better. And I think it'll really help you guys. So if you are finally find that you're kind of struggling putting all the pieces together, make some videos, record yourself doing what I do. So anyway, the market was really, really overbought the last few days. We had a huge moves from Thanksgiving, and I really wanted to see this kind of burn off a little bit. I think that's what we've been getting. I wasn't entirely sure what it was going to look like, and I was pretty happy that we did finally get a pullback into the hourly 50 yesterday. And looks like we're kind of up again today. So mostly neutral, but underneath the surface, I'm starting to kind of see some stuff move up. Yeah, brighter side. So I actually had one of my mentors said the same thing. She's like, yeah, talk to yourself and talk these trades out, because if we're here a lot of times we're just here by ourselves in our office and doing our own thing. And sometimes if you think about something, you can kind of misinterpret it, or maybe you don't. It's not as solidified. But if you talk it out loud, then you've put it into reality, and then you can hear it, and then it becomes a thing. And my mentor said, if you feel silly talking to yourself, well, get a dog, and then you can talk to your dog. And I was like, that seems maybe even sillier. But yeah, hey, it worked. So and then we can also see here with the S&P, like I've been saying for the last week or so, really kind of felt that the market was overbought, and I'm like not really thrilled about it. And even here, you can see how price was just still kind of extended. Well, I think as of yesterday, in preparation for FOMC with a great cut, we did finally get the market kind of dip a little bit. And you can see right here, we're now into the daily 8, and we did come into the hourly 50. And the things I had been concerned about right here with the Moxie indicator below zero, yes, we're not really out of the woods as far as the S&P goes. Like right here, we're still kind of navigating that 15-minute 50. And yeah, the Moxie indicator still below zero, but I do like that we at least kind of got a dip. So we'll kind of have to see how this goes through here. The Nasdaq's in the same boat. And then, if we look at the QQQE, I was saying, like, guys, this thing's super duper extended. What are we going to do about that? I'm not thrilled about it. We did get a pullback. And now that we've gotten the pullback, it can do one of two things. Either it can pull back more if it needs to continue to rest and kind of find support, or it can continue to kind of go sideways for a little bit. But the fact that it's at least come off is progress for what I've been looking for. And now that it's at least coming into the hourly 50, it's hard to say if it's going to go down a little bit further. Maybe there's going to be a little bit of buy the rumor, sell the news as far as the rate cut situation. Although, again, as I look underneath the surface with the crypto market, it's really starting to get lively today. Today's the day. And so that's kind of why I'm like, this thing might have pulled back, and now it's kind of finding some support. And then, SMH is still the one. I'm like, what are they going to do about this thing? Because it's still up and it's still extended. I guess, if this thing is going to get crazy, then I guess we're just going to keep going. But I really wish we had a little bit more of a pullback on something like this. So I'm not entirely sure what to do about this sector. And so that's kind of where I'll leave that off. Yeah, Brighter said, no, my cat's, I think a dog actually would be better to talk to. I think a dog would actually pay attention to a little bit more. The cats are kind of like, well, whatever. Let's see. Also, DGXX. For those of you out there on the social medias, if you did see the Simpler Trading free video that they put out on their channel, it was my duty yesterday. In fact, I think I was covering for somebody, and I had the trade of the week or trade of the day or something, and I picked DGXX. So brighter side, this is one of the ones that you brought to us a while ago, and it really did have a nice move back here. But then the whole market kind of needed to get repriced. These things were getting pretty frothy, and it came back down. And we have been patiently waiting for this thing, haven't we? I mean, I told you, like, as you've been talking about it, I said, let's look at this thing every day, see what we can do. And we really started kind of re-engaging with it back here. And I know you've been talking about it, I see in the chat, and we've been talking about it. And I was like, that's not really where I want to go long. We're waiting for a pullback. And then we finally got the pullback. And then really what we've been doing is waiting on the 15-minute time frame for that to finally get into gear. And if you notice, I think it was, look at last week. Yes, look at that. Nice move. But that's still what I consider to be the first move on the 15-minute time frame, isn't it? And so what we had to do is, instead of, you don't want to go buy it up here, and look what happened. You got a pretty stiff pullback. And we were still having to be like, is this thing going to hold or not hold? And that you can see I put an X on it because we were talking about it. I was like, okay, let's start watching this. It's getting pretty close. And then it dipped down, and then it finally popped back up yesterday. And I thought, that's it. I think that's the one. And then we look even more closely, and we got a little bit of a pullback this morning. Basically what it did, it then pulled back into the 15-minute 50, and I think tested support, because yesterday kind of ended up on a high note. Well, it's a little bit stretched. And then look what it did. Pulled back this morning, kind of like tagged up on baseball, kind of tagged up that base, and now we're up again. So far, this is really kind of doing all the things I wanted to do, which is why we took a trade on it. I think we should add to it, actually. And this is why I put it as the trade of the week. And if you look here on the hourly chart, we can keep looking at this and say, look, we've got the 8 crossing over the 21. We've got price over the hourly 50. In fact, this morning when it pulled back this morning, it tested the you could say maybe it tested the hourly 50, but I'd probably say it tested the hourly 21. And yeah, we're just looking for more progress from this. And the Moxie indicator is probably going to fire either today if this keeps going or tomorrow. And yeah, but I call that pretty good. And if you look at the 15-minute time frame, those of you who are new to the room or new to the Moxie indicator, because I know there are quite a few guys in here about that. The the 15-minute Moxie indicator right here, notice how it was spread from each other. So yes, there was a good move, but again, notice that the indicators were spread from each other. That's nice, but that's not very strong. It's imagine like you have two kids in the back of the car that are kind of like fighting each other, and the parents separate them. They're going the same direction, they're in the same car, but they're not happy with each other. And then what you look at is a couple days later. Now look at this. Now you can see that the two Moxie indicators look like one line. So the kids in the back of the car have made up, they're happy with each other. And now the parents said, okay, you can sit next to each other. And now they're happy and they're strong. And that's what we're looking at and through here. Yeah, right, Brenda said. So that's a little lesson for you guys. A little lesson between the spread Moxie indicator versus the tight Moxie indicator. And that is how we use the 15-minute Moxie indicator to really kind of dial in the exact moment when these things are going to be doing stuff. And yes, Christopher, Chris Robinson, you changed your name, didn't you? Used to be Christopher. Uh, the dots here, we call them the Moxie power dots. It's essentially the squeeze for the Moxie indicator. As remember, what I teach is when the Moxie indicator on the 15-minute time frame, when the two lines are very tight, it means that that the indicator and the sentiment of what it's trying to describe is strong for that direction. It can be up or down. Okay. So it's like a squeeze. It's just telling you it's strong in that direction. And so what this is telling you is that the Moxie power dots are trying to show you like, hey, the Moxie indicators are tight. They're close to each other. They're within 10% of each other. And that's where you get them. And so you can see here, and you can see there was a move to the downside. So again, it's like the squeeze for the Moxie indicator. It's just telling you that the indicators are getting tight together, they're getting strong for whatever direction we're going to be going. And so there you go. Yeah, that's working pretty good. Kraut, the third ATR. Sure. Yeah. I mean, it does matter which time frame are you talking about. Because if you look even on the hourly chart for DGXX, look, there's the third ATR, there's the third ATR. And yes, we're at the third ATR here too. And you can see here, third ATR as well. And that's why I wanted to buy it yesterday. And, it could move here. It can follow the third ATR. You just need to understand that if it's not quite ready, it can kind of pinball between the third ATRs and stuff like that. So sure, it's a thing. But if this thing gets going and gets set up, look how far away the third ATR on the daily chart is. So as long as we can get this thing to set up and actually move, I mean, you're kind of looking at the next target for DGXX is probably somewhere up in the previous high area. So, you know, um, that would be my next general target, because if this market's going to get going again and coming back up, you can see that a name like DGXX has pulled all the way down and is now double bottoming and trying to find support and actually trying to get going back to the upside. So if we can finally get some actually swing energy with this market, then I think we can start looking higher. And if you look at things like Wolf, get that one. Yeah, we talked about this last week. I showed you guys a variety of tickers and stocks. Some of them were coming up off their lows. Others were holding up pretty well. And I just wanted to give these things a little bit more time to kind of rest and figure out where they wanted to go. And this is where, as of today, we put on a couple positions here, right in through here, and you can see right there. See how it started to hold the 15-minute 50? And basically, this was a trampoline move. Price below the 50, Moxie indicator above zero, looking great. And you can see here, nice pullback into the daily 8 and daily 21, kind of the daily 50 situation. So, oh, Surfation, you're holding out on me, man. I didn't know that there was a leverage ETF for that. WULX. How new is this thing? Yeah, pretty new. Ah, man. I always love when you guys tell me a new leverage ETF. Let me add this to my list. Yeah, where were you? You need to be telling me about these things. mm. Oh, where is that? Where's my list? Yeah. Anyway, I'll have to remember that. I don't know where I. Okay, I'll have to deal with that later. Can't figure out. Yeah, that's the thing. They don't, you always got to be looking. You always got to be looking. Yeah, volume's a little light, but we know that there's some of these leverage ETFs have a lot of volume that come into them. Other ones are just kind of like, okay, yeah, I would totally be willing to go into the leverage ETF. So, I'll kind of put a post out there and maybe we'll just say, hey, we're tracking both. So if you guys want to pivot, you can do that. Whatever. So yeah, WULX, great. I need to know that. It's almost like a second job to just go out there and, before you go put on a trade, is there a leverage ETF of this one? Yeah, so all that kind of stuff. Richard, yeah, it's kind of like that. It is a momentum based indicator. And so, yeah, what you're trying to do is kind of figure out rate of acceleration and how it's reading it. So, yeah, acceleration, positive divergences, kind of same stuff like that. Yeah, right. Start fishing. Yeah, your real job got in the way. Yeah, but we do have to look almost every single time before we put on a trade because you just never know. Is there a brand new leverage ETF that has come out for it? And we can also see that the cryptos. So if we look at, oh, let's see, we could do IBIT. And you can see right there, we had a nice move this morning. We were being patient for kind of stuff like this. It's had a few pullbacks, pull back there, pull back there, pull back there, and now we're up today. So this is really good. I'm happy to see this. I do think I've been saying this for the last 2 weeks or so that I think crypto has bottomed and I think it's going to start moving up because the crypto is got really really oversold and I was starting to see a lot of volume come in at the lows. And so yeah, I think that IBIT, even Solana starting to come up again today. This one's kind of been one of the laggards and not very strong, but you can see for the most part it's kind of been hammering out low here and nice move up. And in fact, look at that, some nice volume coming into that one today. So I think that the crypto space is getting the message, probably about rate cuts, and that they've got hammered, they got repriced. I mean, I don't know how much further down they could go. So I think that they have been bottoming, and we can look at Ethereum. Nice move on Ethereum. We are in BM&R, BM&U, that kind of thing. Then you can see right there, it pulled back into the hourly 50. And then as of today, right there, you can see it's been holding the 15-minute 50. So yeah, these things are starting to work their way back up. And I think this is a good sign. I feel like the fact that these things are really starting to move, risk on, risk on. So that's why I'm leaning to the long side. We finally did get a dip on the SPX, and some of the other sectors kind of cooled off a little bit. And yeah, day before Fed, I guess people are feeling frisky. They're like, yeah, we're gonna get a rate cut. And so yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. Let me look at AFRM. This is another one. Yeah. Okay. So we've got some things, and yeah, nice email. So I also wanted to actually go through our Moxie Mutual Fund because this is kind of the moment that I've been waiting for to see if we need to double down on some of our positions. I'm seeing things like Tesla are starting to look good, and so I wanted to go back and kind of revive that. So I'm gonna hop off with the social media people, and remember those of you out there on the social media, come over to simplertrading.com. So I see you out there. I see your eyeballs, and you come over here. You can come check out the room, $7 for 30 days. See if you like it, if you like my style. And, I feel like the market's starting to wake up again. So it would be a pretty good time to come into the room and see if I can, if I can help you, if you like my style. Okay, so let me let you go. I'm going to come over to the Moxie room